I couldn't find my way in here, but now I have. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're going to talk about leave it. Who do I have in here? Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about leave it. So if you were on the call the other night when we did the Q&A, there was a long discussion about leave it. Okay. So I spoke to the director and got the, actual what I need to tell you. And leave it means leave it. Leave it means leave it. It doesn't mean leave it and then they can have it, or leave it for a little while. If you say leave it, they should not get it, whether it's a toy, whether it's a piece of food, whether it's a piece of paper. So once you've said leave it, they should leave it. Now, normally we work on leave it with a toy. I mean, with food. That's our big thing, not taking food under a table or off of the floor. So that's obviously something we want you working on regularly. But the other night, there was just a little debate about, did leave it mean leave it temporarily? And our director says, no, leave it means leave it, especially with our younger dogs. So because they get confused. She said with her older dog, when Wyland was 8, 9, she could say leave it and then later maybe give him the toy or something, but he was older and she knew him. With our dogs in training, leave it means leave it. Doesn't mean leave it temporarily. You tell them to leave the food. Okay, you can treat them with something different, and it really should be just something different. So say if you drop kibble on the floor, but you don't want them to get it, you tell them to leave it. Give them something different, and they do leave it. Treat them with something different. If they have a toy and at that point you don't want them to get it, then don't use the word leave it. Use something else. Wait. Come away. No, I mean, just something different to drive them away from that toy. For instance, a lot of our dogs are ball driven. So I don't ever tell Hess to leave a ball. I will ask him to give it to me. I will take it. I will put it away, but I don't tell him to leave it. It's a ball. I mean, we're in another hour, we're going to play ball again. So I would never tell him to leave the ball. So you have to think about what you're telling them to leave it and how you're going to follow through with that. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Dina.
We were talking before you got here about squirrels. So would you tell them to leave it for like a squirrel or a dog you're walking by too?
Yes. Yep. Okay. I do. That's what I do with that. Absolutely. I say, leave it. And usually I will ask them to watch me. Like this morning when I went for a run, had Hess, and there were bunnies along the trail. Now, fortunately, he's not super interested in bunnies at this point because he's older, but he did look like, oh, I see what's there. And I just said, leave it. And we just kept going and he was fine. But yes, so yes, squirrels, bunnies, things that they really should never get. I mean, we don't want them ever getting squirrels. So definitely, yes. And if you're our older dogs, you want to change the situation in which you're practicing leave it. You want to purposely put food on the ground and practice with them inside, outside, in different locations and use different distractions. It'd be great if you could go to, especially with our older dogs, you can go to a mall food court. I mean, I know people aren't really thrilled about going out right now, but that would be a great thing just to go and, walk through a food court because there's always food on the floor. Good practice, or somewhere where there might be food. And that's a big thing with our dogs because they're very food motivated. If you can get it to where there's food on the floor and your dog is turning their head towards you, that's something we constantly have to practice. Our older dogs should be able to do that, but they still, I mean, as we know, food is a big thing. They want what's on the ground. So we constantly have to work on that. So if there's food on the ground, you might want to be ready with a treat of your own to reward them if they do leave it, if they don't lunge towards it. You want to be ready. So I'm not very good about that sometimes. I don't always treat train, so I don't always have a treat ready, but it might be something you specifically think about. Okay, so what skill are we going to work on when we go out today? And so that might be something you think about every time you go out. The other thing you want to think about when you go out is that you do have that dog with you. And so whenever I go, my focus is not really on what I'm going out for. It's more, okay, I have the dog with me. my focus is on the dog. So and I have to think about that on a regular basis, even as long as I've been doing it. My focus is on the dog. It's really not on the errand I'm running, or it's more about the dog and what can I teach him while we're out. So especially in the grocery store, we go, and because they want to smell everything. We don't even want them smelling everything. So telling them to leave it in the grocery store is perfectly appropriate. Just getting them to more focus on you than focus on what they're wanting to focus on, which is all the wonderful smells. So that's a hard one for our dogs. Even if they're older, it's hard. It's something we have to concentrate on a regular basis. So I guess just real quick, how good are your dogs at leaving it? The ones that you have in your charge right now. Dina, we'll start with you. How good is Victor?
Victor's pretty good with leave it. We had a friend who left a piece of bacon on the back porch and he found it. And so I used that bacon for like 3 days, like carrying it really low around the house like a kid would. And then like right by his face and tell him to leave it. So, but we've been traveling a lot. So we've gone to a lot of restaurants. And so I've actually had them clean out underneath the table so he could go under and he wouldn't be like scrounging for stuff, but he's pretty good. And he's leaving us tomorrow.
Oh, he is. And where's he going?
We're taking him, someone else is taking him. We're swapping.
Okay. Oh, awesome. Who are you getting?
Eventually we'll get Zulu. But we're gonna get Huey, who's a black lab, and then Huey's gonna go to the gentleman in St. Pete from the CNI dog.
Oh.
So we're just gonna host him for a few days.
Oh, nice. Huey is Tank's brother.
Our first black lab, so should be interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, the great dogs. Great dogs. Okay, cool. Valerie, how's Conan doing?
It really depends on the situation. Like in my house, if I drop something in the kitchen, I mean, I usually try to have him not be right next to me anyway. He'll leave stuff if I tell him to leave it. If we're out, at a store and he just goes to sniff something and I say, leave it, he'll leave it. But the squirrels, that's what we're talking about. Nothing is more important to him than that. Not the food I have in my pocket. Like I will try to put my body between him and the tree that the squirrel's going up and get his attention, watch me with like food in my hand. I'll wave it right in front of his face. Like, smell it. This is better. And he just does this, like to look around me at the tree. So I know he knows what it means because he does it, when I feel like when he thinks it's convenient for him. So, then but like this morning I took him for a walk and he was actually pretty good with the squirrels we saw. So I don't know if he just didn't have the energy this morning to like be as interested. And I didn't even have treats with me. I just told him to leave it and he kind of looked and then he would actually look away and I didn't have to like really encourage him. So it kind of depends on the situation, but I know he knows it and he can do it. But there's just those little things that are like,
maybe you need to sit where there's squirrels. Maybe obviously that's something you're going to really need to focus on with him.
Yeah. I mean, I do that because I like live by a lake where there's a park. And so when we walk around, I try to take him different walks every day too, because it's like, he knows which trees he's seen a squirrel in before. Right. And when we get to that tree, he's like looking for it, even if there isn't one. So it's like he's learned every tree in the neighborhood. So I take him on different walks. When I go around the lake, there's benches around our lake and there's plenty of trees with squirrels. And I'll sit there with him and let him watch all kinds of stuff, ducks and whatever. I'm trying to make him think they're boring.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Linda, how about Kendo?
I hope that in time he will be like, all right, those are boring.
Yeah. Well, yep. Hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, he's such a great dog. I'm just like, dude, you got to calm down with the squirrels.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. That's one thing about, I've had a couple dogs who are, that's hard. So keep working at it. He'll get it.
I hope.
Linda.
Kendo's really, really good at leave it. Except when, I have an acre that's fenced and that's where I go out and play and throw the ball for him. And he, does his business. I take him on walks. He does his business on leash and off, But when he's off leash in that 1 acre and there's a squirrel, he will run toward it. Squirrel goes up the tree, and I don't know whether to say leave it or not. He's not on the leash. Now, when he's on leash, I take him to Mount Dora, where there are 10 jillion squirrels in the parks there.
Right.
And he doesn't pay any attention to them when he's on lead. When
Interesting.
he's off lead, that's when he's like, what can I chase? And he'll see a bunny that I don't see way in the corner, under the trees. And he starts running, and I look, and then there's the bunny, but who jumps through the fence. Bunny's, He's never caught anything. But
so that's an interesting question. Yeah, when they're out playing and they're not vested, they're not working in a safe area, would it be okay? Good question. I like it. I'm going to find out. I don't know. I mean, I would think we would want them, we would at least want to, I wonder if you said it, what he would do. If you said, leave it, would he just like wander to the next thing?
No, when he's out in that field, that's his time.
Okay.
And I think he knows it, because I don't have a lead on him, and I do my little exercises, and he's playing around, and he picks up a stick and runs around with it. He's just,
Okay.
that's his time. And then when we go to Mount Dora, or I walk down my street, and I train him in the middle of the street, because we don't have hardly any traffic, and on leash, and he's just really good.
Okay, good. Good.
But
well, I'll
and
find
with
out
me-
about that.
With me, he's really good on the heel. But with, I had to have 2 people take care of him while I was in California. And
Right.
and he pulled one of them clear over onto the ground. They fell flat on the ground because he was pulling so hard.
Oh my.
And so he, without me, you dealt with him at the mall, remember last month?
Yep.
And when somehow I'm not around, he is not a very good dog. But with me, he's fine. So I don't know what the problem is, or if I should swap him out again with it, maybe somebody take him.
Right.
You might want to talk to Janet about that, and I can take another dog. But we're just starting school, and I'll take him to class for the first time on Tuesday, and it'll be good to see how he does in the classroom.
Gotcha.
I've only got 15 students, but
Gotcha.
Okay,
Samantha, how is Caliber with Leave It? Hello, Samantha. She says she's good, a little sniffy in new places, and we're still working on dog exposure and new things. Okay. All right, good. And Claudia.
Zulu is good. It just kind of depends on the situation. Sometimes she's really good and sometimes she's not. In the store, she's been really good about not sniffing things, but it's kind of like what you said. Sometimes when I wasn't really aware that there was something coming up, she'll kind of lunge, but I'm usually able to, as soon as I say the command, she stops trying to go for the item, which I think is really the goal.
Right.
So,
yes.
yeah.
As soon as they look at you or they start to look away, you want to reward them.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to quickly.
So she's- Go ahead.
What?
Nope, nothing. Go ahead.
Okay. We're going to go through just real quick. I'm going to show you a real quick video. Oh no. Hold on. Wait 1 second. Okay. To room 5. Okay, no. Where is Laura? Laura, where'd she go? Laura came out of my room to look for you. She's funny. Okay, move to room. Well, where was she? All right, let me bring her in here for a second. Nope. Okay, I'm going to show you a real quick video and go through, because this is kind of what if you were on the Q&A the other night, this is what we were talking about, and I'll do that really quickly. Okay, let's go. Can you see it? You can't see it? Oh, I know why. Yes. Hold on. Wait. I know why. Still, silly me. Forgot to share my screen. Okay, share screen. There. All right. So now you should be able to see it. Share. Okay, so let's see. Now you should be able to see it. Okay, now can you see the video? Okay, here we go.
Has to go through.
Turn. Yes, good boy. Good job. Okay, as simple as that. I mean, literally, that's what, but that's not all go through is. Go through can also be where they're waiting at the door. And hold on, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to stop sharing. That's what I want to do. Yes. It can be simply as wait next to you and then you go through together. It can also be where they go through and they go through ahead of you. So I clarified all of this with our director, but so go through doesn't mean just where the two of you go through together. So now I'm going to start practicing go through and turn. And of course, Hess is older. He has no problem turning. Your older dogs are going to do it with no problem. And we're going to start teaching. And so that's so somebody who's disabled would need their dog to turn around and focus on them till they got their bearings or knew what they were doing or whatever. We're able-bodied, it's easy for us. So yeah, so I guess I'm supposed to change rooms. I wanted to share some grooming. Just, be sure when you take your dog out that they are groomed, they're groomed well, they're taken care of, they're not dirty. They don't have sometimes Wasabi gets little urine things on his pee and I have to clean those off. So because, I want him to look clean when he goes out. So, just be sure that, and they don't have poop hanging on their hair and on their, because sometimes we don't always notice that. And of course your dog is black, so you may not notice. It's harder to notice. So just be aware of those things when you're taking them out, because we do represent New Horizons. So let's see where I'm supposed to go now, because I'm not sure. Let's see, hold on. Oh, I'm going to leave the room and somebody
Wendy,
yes, hi,
Wendy,
Laura. Yes.
I'm going to be the new leader, but now you're going to need to go to 1, but we
Okay.
need to move the leader from 1 to 2.